yeah, I'm working on that. But yeah, it's horrible. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to try to track it down after this reading, because it is really something else. It will be exchanged for one actually twice as tall in a few days, but hopefully less annoying. All right, thank you very much. Now, I'm just going to do this and drink again because I want to show you how ridiculous this is, that every time I want to have some tea or whatever, or I want to say something horrible that you can't hear, this is what I have to do. That is the price for hands-free. So worth it. And now the hard part. It was New Year's Eve. Asylum letter number 84. We had passed the most glorious Christmas, and the scent of pine trees and gingerbread still filled the asylum. Many of the girls were passing the winter and teaching themselves to skate on the frozen surface of the bathing court, and I had given myself the task of creating a perfect miniature asylum replica in gingerbread for the play grass. That's in the book too. But the turning of the year has been my favorite holiday in the asylum these past few years since we have attained our freedom. On the eve, we hold our annual tea ball upon the rooftops of both Ward A and Ward B, and it is the affair to transcend all other asylum affairs, and those in the city as well, I am quite sure. The ball was soon to begin, and we ascended to the rooftops in preparation for the evening's first dance. I saw the asylum ghosts, their wispy white figures swirling about our skirts as we climbed the old staircase, emerging from the corners and behind the walls to join us for the greatest celebration of freedom and unity. This would be our night of all nights. At last, it was time. I had marked either side of the path leading to the rooftop dance floor with a trail of teacups housing flickering gauges, and every girl was now in her place. As the band sounded the first note of the evening, a blinding shower of white sparks exploded into the star-filled sky. That had been my special surprise for my fellow inmates. The revelry commenced, and my God, the sheer joy exuded from each soul in communion was overpowering. The music swelled. The dancers twirled, and I spun around madly, lifting my face to the sky, the fragile snowflakes landing upon my flushed cheeks. It would soon be time to look to the constellations and welcome in the new year with cheers and music and still more fireworks. And finally, I did it. I had managed to break through my past, through my memories, the things that overwhelmed me and held me back from the life I wanted, keeping some secret part of me embedded in the life I had long escaped. My happiness burst within me like a white light, shooting from my toes to my legs and up through my raised arms to my fingertips, and I thought, this is what freedom really feels like. Suddenly, I fell to the ground. Suchito came to lift me up, but I told her I was all right. I'm all right. I stood on my own. Then, we both fell. The rooftops were shaking, and our beautiful scenery was crashing down around us. Everyone stopped and listened. The deep, yawning groan rose from the very depths of the building around us. The noise was immediately followed by the sound of crumbling brick and stone. I looked around me, and I realized that the asylum was collapsing. Iron bars were snapping out of cell windows as the structure around them crushed under its own weight. And then, entire sections of the building began to fall. I heard the words of Sir Edward on the night that I first met him in my cell in Ward A. He had told me that the asylum was built directly on top of the city's trash heap, that it was only built to deceive, that it had no foundation at all, and that it was never meant to last. It had always been a front, grand from the outside, but inside it was merely the stake built upon mistake, flaw upon flaw upon flaw. The massive construction had simply reached its limit. Every wall that had miraculously stood for all these years had finally given in, and like dominoes, once one had begun to fall, the rest followed. How could I have thought this would go on forever? Panicking, the inmates hurried about in their voluminous white gowns, frantically trying to find a way down to the ground, but all of the exits were blocked and had already fallen away. And that is where the blaze broke out. The increasing snowfall did its best to contain the blaze, but I knew that within minutes we would be engulfed. Once again, I stopped. I was on the ceiling again, only this time the ceiling was the glittering midnight sky. Stunned, I watched as hundreds of inmates, in the act of astonishing acceptance, lifted up on the roof ledge and began to jump. Some alone, many holding hands, their skirts billowing around them, soft curls flying every which way. Suicide, I thought, is a cold, ugly, desperate thing, and when it happens, it is always lonely. Suicide is not the peaceful and poetic act that our painters portray. But the truth is that in that moment alone, it was. In perfect peace, I stepped onto the ledge and extended my hand to the captain. "Where shall we sail to next, Captain?" I asked her, so that all could hear. She leapt up beside me. "An entirely new destination, I think. The bounty has only just been mapped, and we should be the very first to explore it if we board the ship at once." The Chico climbed up beside me and took my other hand. Enormous sections of the roof we stood upon were simply falling away, and the flames were approached behind us. "Anchors away!" shouted the captain, raising her ancient pirate hand into the air. The last of the remaining inmates took their places on the lid, and we all joined hands. I called out to them for the last time. "Good night, sweet ladies. Good night." And then we jumped.